Okay, so this is book 5, and I'm going to skip the argument. You can read that on your own. And I'm going to begin with line 1. Now morn her rosy steps in the eastern clime advancing, sowed the earth with orient pearl when Adam waked. So customed from his sleep was airy light from pure digestion bred, and temperate vapors bland, which the only sound of leaves and fuming rills, Aurora's fan, lightly dispersed in the shrill matin song of birds on every bough. So much the more his wonder was to find unwakened Eve, with tresses discomposed and glowing cheek, as through unquiet rest. On his side, leaning half raised with looks of cordial love, hung over her enamored and beheld beauty which, whether waking or asleep, shot forth peculiar graces. It's a particularly sweet little moment. Adam wakes up before Eve and he's propped up on his elbow looking at her as she sleeps. Then, with voice mild, as when Zephyrus and Flora breeze, her hand soft touching, whispered thus: Awake, my fairest, my espoused, my latest found, heaven's last best gift, my ever new delight, awake. The morning shines and the fresh field calls us. We lose the prime to mark how spring our tended plants, how blows the citron grove, what drops the myrrh, and what the balmy reed, how nature paints her colors, how the bee sits on the bloom, extracting liquid sweet. Such whispering waked her, but with startled eye on Adam, whom embracing she thus spoke: O soul in whom my thoughts find all repose, my glory, my perfection, glad I see thy face, and morn returned, for I this night, such night till this I never passed, have dreamed, if dreamed, not as I am wont of thee, works of day past or morrow's next design, but of offence and trouble, which my mind knew never till this irksome night. Methought, close at mine ear, one called me forth to walk with gentle voice. So Eden is interrupted for Eve by her dreams. She's had a terrible night's sleep. Her hair is all disheveled, and she talks about kind of having this unsettling dream where she's called by a voice. So remember in book 4 that she's called by a voice to Adam. So there's nothing that would suggest that being called by a voice would be dangerous or alarming in any way. So back to line 38 or so. I thought it was thine. It said, Why sleepest thou, Eve? Now is the pleasant time, the cool, the silent, save where silence yields to the night warbling bird that, now awake, tunes sweetest his love-labored song. Now reigns full orb the moon, and with more pleasing light, shadowy sets off the face of things. In vain, if none regard, heaven wakes with all his eyes, whom to behold but thee, nature's desire, in whose sight all things joy with ravishment attracted, beautiful, by thy beauty still to gaze. I rose as at thy call, but found thee not. To find thee, I directed then my walk, and on methought alone I passed through ways that brought me on a sudden to the tree of interdicted knowledge. Fair it seemed, much fairer to my fancy than by day. And as I wondering looked, beside it stood one shaped and winged, like one of those from heaven by us oft seen. His dewy locks distilled ambrosia. On that tree he also gazed, and, "Oh, fair plant," said he, "with fruit surcharged, deigns none to ease thy load and taste thy sweet, nor God nor man. Is knowledge so despised? Or envy, or what reserve forbids to taste? Bid who will, none shall from thee withhold longer thy offered good. Why else sit here?" This said, he paused, not but with venturous arm he plucked. He tasted. Me damp horror chilled at such bold words, vouched with such a deed so bold. But he thus overjoyed, "O fruit divine, sweet of thyself, but much more sweet thus cropped, forbidden here it seemed, as only fit for gods, yet able to make gods of men. And why not gods of men, since good the more communicated, more abundant grows, the author not impaired, but honored more? Here, happy creature, fair angelic Eve, partake thou also. Happy though thou art, happier thou mayest be. Worthier canst not be, taste this, and be henceforth among the gods, thyself a goddess, not to earth confined, but sometimes in the air, as we, sometimes ascend to heaven, by merit thine, and see what life the gods live there, and such live thou. So saying, he drew nigh, and to me held into my mouth of that same fruit, held part which he had plucked. The pleasant savory smell so quickened appetite that I methought could not but taste. Forthwith up to the clouds with him I flew, and underneath beheld the earth outstretched immense, a prospect wide and various. Wondering at my flight and change to this high exaltation, suddenly my guide was gone, and I methought sunk down and fell asleep. But oh, how glad I waked to find this but a dream! Thus Eve her night related, and thus Adam answered, sad. Sad in this context means seriously. And again, this is where Milton reminds us of um, trying to trying to describe a fallen world, an unfallen world, as a fallen person. So we'll pause here for the first installment.